Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I want to do a review on the Craft Holsters Hybrid Holster. That's the holster I have right here. This is a hybrid holster, leather backing with the Kydex cover on top of it to retain the gun. This is not a cheap holster. Okay, this holster is $105, and then plus your shipping and your taxes, this could easily come up to $120 or $130. So this is not a cheap holster. Most of my holsters, like this one over here that I have for the Glock 17, this is by Phobos. This was I think like $35, $40 for this holster. The one I have over here for the M&P Shield, that's from Craft. That's basically a $25 holster. I've been carrying this, for the better part of this year. So I told them to send me a holster to try out the M&P Shield, and they sent me this one. My plan was to carry the gun around for about 2 weeks and then do a review on it, and I never quite got that far. The reason is because I ran into a serious retention problem. As I take the gun out of my holster, and you can see as I tug on it, there's a bit of retention there. So I got to actually pull the gun out. If I stick it in here, right, you can see if I push up with my finger a little bit, you can see how the gun starts to slide up. Okay, let's try it again. So just pushing a little bit of pressure with my finger, you can see how this gun starts to lift out. Okay, so this gun has a retention problem, which I consider a serious issue, especially for a gun that's going to be outside the waistband, because this is not, because let's say with this one over here that I carry inside the waistband, I can always tighten the belt up a little bit more over it, and that hold the gun a little bit better in place. This holster over here does not have a tension screw. Like if you look at this one here from Phobos, there's a screw over here, right, that presses the two halves together over here, and basically the retention on this holster is right here around the trigger guard. Okay, and right now this is at like no settings. Basically that screw is loose. It basically has not been turned at all, and without that screw even being tensed a little bit, when you push this in, there's a good deal of retention there. Okay, usually the problem with these paddle holsters is that you got to make sure that you got to have enough of a shelf here to grab the belt, so the entire holster doesn't come up when you draw the gun try to draw a gun out of the holster. And that's not an issue with this particular holster, but that is an issue with other holsters I have seen in the past. So this gun has this holster has really good retention. That is one of the things that I look for, one of the most important things I look for in a holster. I mean, the holster obviously has to be able to carry the gun. It has to protect the trigger guard, right? Because that's the safety mechanism on this for this package, because the gun and the holster are basically a package together. And of course, you have to be able to access it easily, and it has to have retention. It has to keep it in place, and that's where this holster is lacking. And one of the things is, like, if you're moving around and this thing starts lifting up, and if you do notice it, what's going to happen is once you realize that the holster has this type of a problem, the tendency is going to be to constantly be checking on it, and pushing down on it as you're going about your business to make sure it's not lifting up. And if the gun does come up and the piece of fabric, right, gets inside the trigger guard, it can press on the trigger as you shove it back down, and you can set the gun off and shoot yourself in the foot. So, because normally if I have any clothing on, when I go to reholster, like when I go to draw, I'll put my hand here and I'll come up, right, I'll go full extension. Then when I come back, I'll usually grab my fabric, I'll tuck it up against my body, and I'll reholster. Okay, so when you're doing drills, right, you're usually more aware of your fabric situation, making sure that it doesn't get into the trigger guard. However, if you have a gun that's like constantly lifting up and you're just constantly pushing down on it, it just increases the chance of an accident, which I really don't want, because it's obviously really bad for the person that has the accident, but it's also bad for the gun community as a whole, because if people start saying, hey, carrying guns is not safe, they're just going off on their own while they're in your holster, or while you're in the store, and you just go like that, and all of a sudden, boom. So that's a real important issue. Let me take this off and let's take a closer look at the holster itself. So one of the things I noticed immediately that there's definitely a lot of good craftsmanship that goes into this holster. Okay, they got 2 pieces of leather. You can see the tan leather in the back, and then you got the fine black leather on top, and it is stitched together, right? And then the kydex is riveted in place, and then you have the additional stitchings from the kydex all the way through the leather. So there's a lot of good craftsmanship that goes into this holster. However, there is no tension screw over here, right? This would be the place right around here somewhere that you would have a tension screw like this, right? And like the holster that I'm carrying has where you can pinch these 2 parts together and squeeze this piece of plastic on the trigger guard and retain, hold the gun in place. Now, one of the things to just kind of be aware of with this design, right, where you're mixing leather and plastic, if you do have that tension screw, right, well, now you're squeezing the leather and the plastic together, leather does change over time, with the sweat, and if it gets wet, and, the different weather conditions. So that's one of the issues with leather in general. Leather is it's a fabric that degrades or changes quickly, okay, as opposed to, let's say, like the plastic here, right? Plastic is either broken or not broken, okay? It generally does not wear the way leather wears, okay? So that's one of the reasons why I generally recommend fully kydex holsters. But that's my review on this Craft Holsters hybrid holster. I already gave the company my initial impressions, and they said they wanted to send me out another holster to try out. They're sending me out a fully kydex light bearing holster for the Glock 17. Okay, and I'm really looking forward to reviewing that. And part of the reason is because there's not as many companies out there that make as many light-bearing holsters. I mean, obviously there's a lot that do, but there's a lot more holsters out there that aren't designed to carry a light. So I'm really looking forward to that. Also, the in general, craft holsters, they tend to make more expensive products in the sense that there's more craftsmanship that goes into this with all the stitching, so I can see how that increases the price. So given that the light bearing holsters in general from all companies tend to be more expensive, I think that's that's one of the reasons why I requested a light bearing holster for my Glock 17. I think that's an area in the market that there's definitely more room for more holsters, and I think that if that turns out to be a good holster, I think that you guys watching this, will find that might make good use of that. So I look forward to getting that holster from Craft Holsters. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you have any comments and experiences you'd like to share, put it in the comment section. If you're not a member of my channel, please subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.